weird because it's early enough that I'm getting out today. It's only about 5:30. So it's early enough that it's kind of bright. But obviously, as you can see, there's no sunlight because there's all the cloud cover, and it's yeah, I mean, right now would basically be sunset. It's kind of a weird thing. If you've ever lived in an area where it snowed, one of the oddest things is you go out at like 2 o'clock in the morning while it's snowing or right after it snowed, and just the street lights reflecting off of all the white snow will make it like it's daylight. I mean, you can see, you know, a mile down the road as if it's the middle of the day. It's kind of what's going on right now, I think. I think that there's just enough diffusion of light from the sun that the snow that's falling is catching that light, and it's made it a little brighter. Anyway, so I was thinking earlier today, today's been an exceptionally rough day at work. Just if it could go wrong, it went wrong. No good rhyme or reason to any of it. And I won't get into specifics. But what I have realized in my time now as general manager, you will always think you can do a better job than the guy ahead of you or the guy in charge. Because I know there were plenty of times when something would happen and I would think, that's not how I would do it, or I would have done it like this. And until you're faced with the actual rubber meets the road, hard decision of what to do, you don't realize how much pressure or responsibility that person ahead of you had, or that person in charge you had. And while it's easy to stand back, an armchair quarterback, the guy in charge, when it's your turn, you gain so much more respect for the previous manager or owner or whatever, that you just, I don't know, you regret feeling the way you felt or saying the things you said all the times you said them or all the times you felt them. Because I'll tell you, it is not easy being in charge or feeling the pressure of knowing that you have to manage all these people, and they're all individuals with their own individual problems, own individual lives, own individual shortcomings and own individual successes. And there's a multifaceted spider web to each and every one of them. Now, if you work at a job where you have a lot of coworkers, you'll know quite often that the things at home in your coworkers' lives will usually affect their at-work lives. And the effects that their at-work lives have on you can in turn have an effect on your life at home. Now, if you're a manager, anyone that you manage, you have to have an understanding of all these people's individual things going on in their lives, so that you can understand why they may or may not be doing something at work. Now multiply that. And if you're a giant corporation or in charge of a giant corporation, it's a lot easier to just become a number, to just become an employee, to not have a personal relationship with the owner or the GM or whomever. But in a small company like I work for, when you're talking 50 or less employees, it's critical to know all those relationships, or at least have a working knowledge of them. You know, if you're just I'll use a Walmart employee as an example. I never worked for Walmart, and I don't think I know anybody that has. So this may or may not be 100% accurate. But even your small Walmart probably has 100 employees. And at any given moment, one of those employees having a rough day may or may not affect the business. More than likely it won't. In fact, usually they aren't linchpins in your operation. You know, they may or may simply be a stocking clerk or a checkout clerk. And while the role is important, it's not crucial or critical. Your entire operation isn't put on hold because that person goes home early sick or doesn't show up to work that day. It's mind-boggling how companies grow to that size, because you have to go through that phase of getting past the hard times. And that's kind of where I'm at right now with my company. Is we're still growing. We can get a lot bigger, but as we get bigger, it's like Biggie said, man, no money, no problems. So quite often another YouTuber, Total Control. He'll talk about, you know, working for these large corporations, and he's right. I don't think they care about you. For the most part, in a lot of those companies, the employees are pretty replaceable. Even the good ones, which is really sad. Because in most cases, it doesn't matter how good you are, you're still a part of a large unit where you're not critical or key. And because you do a good job, it's not noticed, because in the bigger picture, your good job, it may have a significant impact, but it doesn't make a giant wave. When you work for a small company like I do, a really good employee can make or break a company. And when that really good employee struggles or has a bad day, it can just handicap that company. And it's really, really hard sometimes to get past it, you know, and get over it, or to deal with it. Anyway, guys, that's about it for me now. Talk to you next time.